Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Historical parallels. Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Ā'ishah and minor marriages in the United States. What prompted me to compile this book is a letter sent to the Germantown Masjid Dawah Center by one of our incarcerated brothers, asking for some literature which clarifies our beloved Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Ā'ishah while she was 9 years of age. He mentioned how some individuals with him in prison were attempting to deter some of the new Caucasian brothers from Islam by mentioning what occurred of this youthful marriage. So wanting to aid our brother and whoever else Allah wills to benefit, I compiled some words and clarification of this topic to repel lies and slanders from the noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And before the compilation of this work, there's a book already printed, compiled by Sheikh Abu Iyad, Hafidhahullah, where he clarifies this matter thoroughly and refutes those who malign the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam due to this matter, while exposing the institution of pedophilia in different establishments in Western societies. In this book, I bring parallels to Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Ā'ishah and similar marriages that were contracted in abundance here in the United States by native whites, solemnized by priests and pastors, and moreover, protected legally under the law. I quote from various sources, from them the well-done academic research by Nicholas L. Syrett titled American Child Bride, A History of Minors and Marriage in the United States. From his quotes, before the 18th century, children as young as 8 or 9 married in America, and children in their teenage years have been marrying in the United States since then. This is historically true. In America to the present day, minors can and do legally marry at the minimum age of consent and sometimes below that. And this book is by no means written to advocate for nor encourage child marriage. Its goal is to demonstrate that throughout history, older men taking younger brides was not at all strange in the United States. It was not something only done by foreigners or immigrants, but mainly done by native whites. Nicholas Syrett states, immigrants were often scapegoated as being responsible for the high number of child brides in the United States. He refutes this notion with another quote from Arthur Towne, who was once superintendent of the Brooklyn Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Towne states, let us not imagine these marriages occur only among our immigrant population. They are probably as prevalent among our native stock. Syrett also says, sociologists pointed out that early marriage was more frequent among blacks than whites and more common among native-born whites than those whose parents had immigrated. Mary Richmond concurred. She had read the most recent census figures, and it was clear to her that the foreign-born did not make up the majority of child brides. The teaser on a mock-up for the cover of Child Marriages proclaimed, more than 2/3 of a million of people living in this country have been child brides or have been married to child brides. Only a small minority of such brides are foreign. Most of them are native white, of native parentage. Implicit within this, of course, was the long-standing belief that uncivilized practices like youthful marriage were confined to other countries and their migrants. And the hierarchy of civilized cultures, with Anglo-Saxons at the top, age of marriage was one of the proofs of that civilization. End of quote. Yes, this is what bigots among the whites would like people to believe, that youthful marriages cannot occur among a race such as theirs. And this shows that much of the criticism directed towards Islam from whites is rooted in their belief of racial supremacy. But how far is this from the truth? Such marriages among whites occurred frequently over 1,000 years after the union of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Ā'ishah radiallahu anha. Rather, up until today in America, some states still do not have an age floor minimum. English common law, from where many of American laws were derived, once stipulated that girls 12 years of age could marry legally. Over the past 300 years in America, many adult men legally married young brides, such as the former governor of the colony of North Carolina, Arthur Dobbs, who at 73 married Justina Davis when she was 15. Former Civil War General Cassius Marcellus Clay was 84 when he married 15-year-old Dora Richardson in 1894. Charlie Johns, another Caucasian man, was 22 years old when he married 9-year-old Eunice Winstead in Treadway, Tennessee in 1937. And there are many more examples that Syrett mentions, which I quote in the book. But I emphasize again, the intent behind this book is not to encourage older men to marry young girls, no. Even when it is perfectly legal still in many states according to U.S. law. However, this is a clarification and refutation upon many of the Islam haters who seek to malign Islam and its noble prophet about a matter which was still common up until the early 1900s and much more common before that, let alone the 7th century where Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Ā'ishah took place. These are undeniable, documented facts which were enshrined in law by the English and also by the founding fathers here in America. And we find before that in England, Richard II married Isabella of Valois at the age of 6. King John married Isabella of Angoulême at the age of 12. And William II of Orange married Mary Henrietta, the daughter of King Charles I at the age of 9. However, the Islam haters and the racist bigots, such as Tommy Robinson in the UK and those like him, play on the emotions of those who share their same racial sentiments about Muslims and other foreigners. They in turn may gain support or sympathy from those who are ignorant of history. Go back and read the English coverture doctrine and see the treatment of women in English society compared to the treatment of women in Islam and the rights they were given 1400 years ago. Go back and read about English common law marriage ages. A person will clearly see that unlike today, social economic factors played a part in girls marrying older men. This was the norm of those days in England and America, as many non-Muslim academic researchers clarified. People like Tommy Robinson do not present academic research. He throws out bait to people and hopes it sticks because he has a wider agenda and desires to incite people against Muslims, as we've seen with the recent UK riots. So yes, when social economic factors changed almost all over the world after around the 1940s, with child labor laws being enacted and children being pulled from working on farms, coal mines, cotton mills, selling newspapers and shining shoes, when regular schooling was mandated among most children and they were given more time for regular play and pastimes, not facing the harsh conditions that many children did before that, mental maturity naturally slowed down, even though they may have reached ages of puberty. This delay in mental maturity also was a cause, which us Muslims agree, for the age of marriage to be delayed, and this is what took place in the West and in Muslim lands alike. So these were the circumstances in many places around the world which caused girls to marry early, the West being no exception. Lastly, as Sheikh Abu Iyad stated in his book on social customs in marriage, Muslims are not ashamed or cowed by the hounding of the Islam-hating resentful loons who try to use the issue of this marriage to malign the Prophet and malign Islam. This marriage has no connection whatsoever from near or far to pedophilia. So just like Tommy Robinson and other Islamophobes, many of whom are white racist bigots, but not limited to white races, their speech cannot harm Islam or the Prophet whatsoever. William Muir, David Margoliouth, and others tried it in their writings. They wanted to defame the Prophet of Islam, and they failed. Look at the continual spread of Islam throughout the East and West. Look how the statements of the testimony of Tawheed and that Muḥammad ibn Abdullah is the messenger of Allah are heard 5 times daily from thousands of masjids throughout America and Europe, let alone Muslim countries around the world. So I pray to Allah that these facts will strengthen the Muslim who may be unable to articulate the reason behind the Prophet's marriage to our mother Ā'ishah radiyallahu anha at an early age, just as it will allow the just, intelligent non-Muslim to accept what is undeniable in history, Allah willing, and it will only increase the stubborn Islamophobe and his stubbornness, hate, and misery.